What's going on there, Twitch and YouTube world? And man, it's good to be back. Or is it? Anyways, welcome to the final episode of Fun or Fraud. I'm sure there are a lot of you out there right now wondering, is this game worth playing? Should I invest my time into this game? Is there a future in NFTs? Is off the grid really changing the game? We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more in this particular episode, so stay tuned. Thanks for stopping by. As always, folks, you know we got to start off by covering a little bit of the updates in the patch notes. I also want to kind of flex a little bit because I feel like oftentimes as PC gamers or as sweats, chats, whatever it is that you want to call people who pretty much just take all their free time and dedicate it to video games, we're just full of shit. No one takes anything we have to say seriously. They think our feedback is just ego based instead of being experience based. And it's great because the more we continue to see this game evolve, you also get to see how right we are like 90% of the time. So, one of the big debates on Reddit and on the Discord was just the overtuned state of aim assist. You could go watch plenty of my other videos. You could go read some of the posts on Reddit from other PC folks. You could talk to people like Selly from Merc, maybe even some of the folks who were top tier members on the console side, like Gold. And we all told you that the aim assist was hovering as high as 0.7 and 0.6. My videos in particular, I told you it was 0.6. And for those of you who don't know how to move a decimal, 0.2 spaces, that is 60%. Anyways, on to the patch notes, ladies and gents. Let's take a look at what we can expect from this particular update. Cross-platform friend system has arrived on Teardrop. I mean, this is actually really good news to hear. It's just wild that it took you like 9 months to make something like this happen. And I think it held the game back from truly being able to grow in the way that it needs to. Taking a look, they've now given you the ability to invite players from multiple platforms. So we're going to start seeing, Xbox, PlayStation 5, PC do a lot of, intermingling. And I think that's a great thing for the game. I just have concerns it might be too little too late. We got the new Omni hexes, which to skip through all of that, it's a fancy way of saying you can get anything that has pretty much been released that isn't considered exclusive to Pioneer or Original Zeros in the box at whatever color or tier that it falls into. So common, uncommon, rare as an example is a 90% chance to contain a rare item and a 10% chance to have an epic item. And uncommons will give you rares, and commons have a chance to give you some better, which is basically going to be the like blue items. Well, green items, excuse me. Moving forward, we got player level ups. Players now can earn Omni hexes by simply leveling up, which is awesome. Unless you are at level cap, like me. Anyways, moving forward there, we got player level up awards that are going to be huge. I think a lot of players who are new to the game, this will give you a little bit of motivation to want to stick around. But hex extracting awards have also been increased in terms of the experience that are going to be given. So now you can see 20, 40, and 60 due to their respective tier, which is, not bad. Not bad. I don't know if that's really a big motivator, but for some folks there who probably want to go dunk some hexes, more power to you. You get some experience. Matchmaking. Players can now select only one matchmaking region at a time. Matchmaking times are now more accurately displayed. I actually don't know how I feel about this. I think the advantage of being able to play in multiple tiers meant that if you maybe didn't want to play in a specific region that's being completely stomped out, you had the ability to go play in other regions. Or, I'll give you an example. Copper region is infested with a lot of top tier North American players. Maybe you wanted to switch it up a little bit and go to a different region and could breathe a little bit better. CBS as an example. Maybe even Firefly. I think when it comes to something that's like regionally specific, you got two ways you could go about this. You could option A, let people choose, which is kind of what you were doing before, or option B, you make it an automated thing based on their ping and distance from the actual servers that they're getting connected to. And there's no way you can tell me that they have the technology, especially from the API that you can get through Epic's team and development stuff specifically. So it exists. It's been in other games many, many times before. And like I said, I think it's a questionable direction for them to decide to go. But hey, you do you, OTG. That seems to be what you've been doing the whole time. Gameplay. They reworked the melee system so now players dash slightly towards targets when attacking. So now instead of just going, psh, psh, you go, whoosh, all right? And you get a little bit of lunge forward action. I honestly don't know if this is good or bad. I think melee has always sucked. I don't think a dash is going to make it any better. But hey, this should help folks there who were like trying to smack their target and felt like it wasn't hitting. But this is what we came to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to make sure we didn't skip anything because, these devs are like, oh my God, we release update. You know what? I'm going to wait on that. But one of the things I love about OTG is how much they talk about updating their game. But let's keep reading. It says that they have replaced gamepad aim sensitivity with a uniform multiplier. That's right here in the aiming section. And you might be wondering to yourself, what does that even mean? But before we get there, let's go to the section above it that I saved for last because it's the cherry on top. Improved rotational smoothing to be frame rate independent. Now, I told all of you, and you can go to Discord because that post is still somewhere buried within the chatter, that frame-based aim assist was outdated and was a terrible decision. I even shared some of my information that I gathered using ChatGPT with other people in the Discord. And as you can imagine, there was a bunch of know-it-all retards with a 1 KD who decided to come out the woodworks, and their only argument was, if you're gonna believe a LM, dude, you're freaking retarded, man. Like, duh. Well, guess what? COD made that switch ages ago because the reality is most games are going to go off of a timing from the server to the player, right? Client, server, client. There's a certain amount of latency between each of those users. And that's what makes games so frustrating to deal with sometimes because if the server quality is poor, you're going to run into desync issues. Frame rates are going to be an extra layer of unnecessary just jitter and nonsense that you did not need in the game. So I was actually really happy to read this first bullet. I told you all it was possible. All you so-called game developer nerds, you got proved wrong. Added absolute aim assist strength values in the settings. Aim assist now decreases or disables on ghosted targets based on their speed. Aim assist now functions through destructible glass. Decrease sensitivity to 50% from 60%. For all platforms, by the way. This isn't exclusive to console, but this is the best part. Get ready, ladies and gents. Increased rotational aim assist to 50% on PC, and it remains 60% on console. They actually bumped it up to 40%. All of the experienced veteran players who did testing told you that PC was sitting around 30%. So we all told you that PC felt like it was at 30% and that it felt good. It felt perfect. And we told you that you have always been at 60% aim assist. I need folks to understand that 100% is an aimbot. If you downloaded a cheat off the internet, 100% is an aimbot. So I just, I can't beat the drum because, people are just going to talk about how toxic it is and everyone needs to just, quit crying. And, here's the difference between me and you. I don't have something doing 60% of the work, right? All you got to do is lend it 40. That's the logic I'd like you to carry on with you as you move throughout the future in your lives playing these kinds of video games. The other thing I think is really important is movement. Movement used to be something that was just, it's what made this game magical. If you played in June or July of last year, or maybe you came a little bit later, you started playing in October. I'll even say a lot of the player base who probably slipped in around December was there to experience what I would personally argue the golden era of Off the Grid. It didn't feel like any other game you have ever touched, ever. It was fast. It was momentum based. You could run with your crazy robotic legs, dash around people, bunny hop. Fuck, I thought I might have been able to backflip if I kept it going fast enough. You could hop off a roof, dolphin dive, swivel all throughout the air. It was phenomenal. And what happened? Well, you fly a lot slower than you used to. And what they gave you back, which was already in the game, what they gave you back after people complained about it, was the ability to fly down and then back upward to climb higher heights. Oh, but we're going to make sure that you have a jetpack limiter so that way, you run out of fuel at some point and fall down to the ground. Which I think is 50-50. I don't completely hate it, but I just think the free reign of movement as a whole is what made the game special. Can you imagine playing a game like Quake 3 or Quake Champions or something, and like there was like a meter that told you you've reached maximum speed by strafing around the map, so now you got to slow down? Like it just doesn't make sense, and it restricts the freedom of creativity that the game used to offer. Now, I'm not done ripping on movement. I got two more things I think people need to consider. Back in the day, not only were flights and jetpacks super optimal, but you were able to use leapers the same as you were today. You can pop up in the air, use the dolphin diving technique to kind of keep yourself built up and fast pace, but they've nerfed it. It's a lot slower than it had used to be. And then Roadrunners, which, I do think to some degree was slightly out of control. It gets hit with the nerf hammer like no tomorrow. I mean, they completely nerf the crap out of it. And then we get to these new notes here. It says added weapon holster animation, increased volt and climb speeds, added midair sprint to smooth out camera experience, added slight falling air resistance above max sprint speed, fixed various jetpack related camera, visual, and audio bugs. But if we scroll down just a little bit further, it says overall maximum sprint speed is reduced by 30%, resulting in 170% speed. You get 100% base and 70% from Roadrunners. So it used to be at 200% speed. Now, in the patch before this, for those of you who have been keeping up with the game, you had double the time in terms of the Roadrunners' overall duration. And I did think that that was a perfect nerf. Why did we double down on nerfing Roadrunners? Why? You've slowed down flying. You've slowed down running. You've added a bunch of weird stuff that has supposed to been making the game feel faster, but the feedback is not telling you that the game feels faster. I mean, to be completely transparent with everybody, this truly is just it's going to be a rant video, but this is the worst iteration of Off the Grid, period. It is May 1st, and this is the worst state of the game from just like a just overall gameplay perspective, period. Okay? The problem with Off the Grid, to be completely transparent with everybody, is these developers, these more casual type players have no integrity for competitive games as a whole. All people care about are two things: freedom to basically get their way and making money off of the player base, right? Because who are the most predominant players? Console players, right? Well, guess what? Who's the most dominant players on Apex? Who's the most predominant on Call of Duty? Console players. But you don't see them completely butchering the overall framework of their game to make it easier. I mean, sure, look at Fortnite. They added a bunch of weird shit that people probably didn't ask for, like Goku Kamehamehas and golf carts, but never at any point did it make the game easier. They layered in more cheese. But the devs in this particular game have nerfed the movement, have buffed the aim of the most simplified casual player base. And even they are not liking it. There's these loud, vocal 20 individuals on Reddit and Discord, and you guys make a lot of noise, but the reality is you're truly the minority. You know something that Apex, Call of Duty, Fortnite, you know what they all have in common? A ranked mode. And they are the most played game modes outside of maybe Team Deathmatch, if there was that kind of mode being offered, because that is where most casual players decide that they want to go. But no matter how much you try and victimize yourself and say that you need to have some type of casual space to be free, you know you're going to be spamming ranked games. You're like the guy who, you're probably like me, you're playing League of Legends over and over and over, and you're fucking stuck in bronze. That's because you belong there. And had there actually been some type of ranked mode, they would have allowed us more experienced players to just climb and get into the higher brackets and get away from you. But no, it made more sense to just build the game and cut it into pieces over time based on the feedback that you were getting from casual players. There are more competitive players on console than there probably are on PC. And this whole idea that console automatically equals casual is a fallacy. The reason why we give so much slack to console people is because you get 60% aim assist. You have a game doing 60% of the work for you. You know, Call of Duty at one point admitted that they had their aim assist at 60%, and it was a dumpster fire, and they nerfed it. You know who else at one point almost reached 60%, not quite 60%? Apex Legends, and it was a dumpster fire. There is currently no game today with this level of aim assist. And in a couple moments, I'm probably going to pull up some videos so you folks can see just how diabolically strong the aim assist is. And instead of attracting casual players, it is pushing away your competitive players. Nobody wants to play a game that doesn't respect competition and doesn't respect the skill gap. I mean, check some of this out.
Yeah, no, hookshot still breaks on console.
Bonus reward granted. Armor plates at maximum supply.
Enemy down!
Enemy down!
Oh my god.
Enemy down!
Danger. Deadly overloaded.
Enemy down!
Yeah.
Nice.
Stay alert. You're being tagged by a hostile cyber limb.
Enemy down! Damn! Enemy down! And little kid.
There is no shot. What?
All right. I think you get the point. I mean, what part of that seemed human to some of you? Let me actually do a little bit more digging to put some perspective in some of you folks' mind. This is a top player in Off the Grid, okay? And I don't want to take any credit from What a Week in any way, shape, or form, but the reality is all of console except really bad gamers. No offense, you guys just got to get better. But almost all half decent, have a brain, and can operate their thumbs, console players are aiming like this. Shooting through glass, shooting through trees, shooting you on chases between crevices. Every single bullet hits. And the example that I gave you in this particular video was one player. In focused squad lobbies, people are going to be holding each other's dicks and they are going to push you as a 3-stack. Now, I want you to imagine what you just saw in that video and multiply it by 3. It is destroying the game. No one wants to play this. No one wants to play it. PC players don't want to play this. Inexperienced console players do not want to go against that. And that is what's in their lobbies. They're in everyone's lobbies. That is not a PC player. That is someone on PlayStation 5 annihilating their competition. Now, if you're curious, maybe from a stat perspective, what we might dig up, I think it's important because people have talked about this and actually done some of the homework for us, which I think is fantastic. So let's see what some people have been able to cook up and dig up. First and foremost, this is posted from his PlayStation 5 account. 32.5 KD. That is not human, people. Not human. Okay? With a 45.5% accuracy. That's because some of these games are averaging as high as 65%. I have pulled up players who we've never seen before, ever on planet Earth, come to this game who have some controller experience and out the gate are aiming at 45 to 55% on average. And if any of you have been playing this game for a long period of time, you will know, and I've talked about this in my other videos, the best players in the game shoot within 35 to the high end being 45%. And I showed you the very first time when updates were introduced to boost aim assist, for the casual players, that we started to see percentages in the 60 and 70 percentile ranges. Whew. Why would anyone in their right mind want to play a game like this? To do a little bit of comparison, here's some of the things that people have been able to show. Here's a PlayStation versus PC performance breakdown, if you will. All right. And this person was able to collate information and show that the PlayStation players are performing 18.19% better than the entire PC player base. This is a problem. Nobody wants to play this. At some point, players are going to get sick and tired. They already have. I could probably go into specific times of the day where the Discord used to have what seemed to be 100 people, and we find maybe 3 squads playing, 4 on a rainy day. In fact, just to check right now, what do we got in there? 3 squads. That's it. How many people are in our Discord? They're having a party. Honestly, I feel like many players could agree. We spend more time just hanging out and shit talking because we enjoy the relationships that we built as players in this community than actually playing the fucking game. There's people who spend more time talking in the off the grid general chat section than playing the fucking game. Because unless you can find a dedicated triple stack of players, it is an awful experience. Oh, and by the way, with this particular update, the devs decided that they are going to use everybody as live test subjects in order to implement their skill-based matchmaking. So you are going to be playing nothing but demons, probably for the next month, so they can build their new ranked mode. I don't know what to say as we continue to move forward with Off the Grid, but I gotta be honest with you folks, the end is near. Let me give you an example. There's a brand new game that's also in playtest mode right now. I'm just going to pick something off of Twitch, okay? I'm going to go to my internet browser, pull it up into the window, and show you the difference in coverage that we can immediately identify. And, you know, I know it was probably Krazid or somebody weird. It's always the really bad players who have something to say. They're like you want my respect because you've played video games for a long time, but you're like below average in every video game that you play. So like my guess is that you're just playing it the wrong way or something. And I'm old. You're just as old. You're probably even younger. I don't know what your excuse could be. You don't you don't got the gift. All right? And I'm a mid-tier player. What you saw in some of that footage was an example of a high-tier player. But if we were to take a look and just ask ourselves, what is the popularity of Off the Grid right now, right? Like this is probably one of the top streamers in Off the Grid, 1.9K followers, and he has 25 viewers right now. And that's no fault to him. He makes great content. The problem is the game is going nowhere. Let's take a look at the actual. There is 1.1K players for a game that is 9 months old, irregardless of the fact that it is in a playtest. You know what else is in playtest? Marathon from Bungie. And they are already outperforming a game that has been out for 9 months with 1.7K viewers. Fragpunk, which just left playtesting, is at 1.8K. If we were to probably take a look at Arc Raiders, we are at 23,000 viewers, and this game is still quite literally in playtest. If we were to look at Exoborn, which is also another futuristic cybernetic limb game, when it returns back to Twitch, because right now they have stopped their playtest, it was equally as high as Arc Raiders, treading numbers up to 10, 15, 20,000 viewers. These are games that are demonstrating potential and will have a future. Do you know the only time that Off the Grid has ever amassed elite viewership was during the All-Stars event? Which, by the way, from what I've heard, they are still struggling to get players paid out for. And all the tournaments that were hosted throughout all these months, they're still struggling to get players paid out for. Vetted and verified in the Discord by the actual best players in the community themselves. They have no reason to lie. They would be gloating and bragging to other people, this is a game worth playing. I've made money. but they haven't. You know, I think the other thing, I have an idea. Give me a moment.
You saw the title of the video, you might be shocked. For me, it's a Monday at this point. A developer threatening to copyright strike a video if I don't remove it. Only this one's getting a little bit deeper. We're going to talk about it all here. My name is Big Fry. Whew, let's get into it.
Is that one of the goats in the FPS community in terms of game reviews, just giving us different perspectives to new games? It is. Let's ignore the fact that this is kind of an off-topic thing, but I just think the fact that a game development studio decided to come after a very well-known content creator within the FPS space. You know, it's not just the fact that they have built this game to quote cater to casual players when the reality is that majority of those casual players are competitive and they don't want to honor and create a respectful competitive environment. It's the fact that, you know, they continue to attack the movement, but the actual players who want to say something about their community. I don't need to put out any more videos about the censorship that has completely plagued all of their social forms. Whether it be Reddit or Discord, if you speak your honest thoughts with no filter, they're going to tell you you are not being constructive and they will probably ban you. And this is speaking from experience. I had to go on a little reform journey in order to earn my spot back in. But the problem with you is you can't handle feedback. Not only can you not handle it, you don't listen to it. And it has led to your game ultimately to see its future downfall. The problem with Off the Grid as well is that it has so much focus on this NFT strategy that I think that truly is the reason why your game is going to fail. It truly is. I think the concept was amazing, if I were to be quite honest with you. I think it was original. I think it was unique. And I think you have tied it in to the game better than anyone else I've ever seen before. Ever. And what's likely going to happen is someone's going to rip off your approach and do it better than you. Somebody with more experience. I have pretty much concluded that the entirety. Neil Blomkamp, you're the only experienced guy over there. All right? I love your movies. I love your concepts. Oh, side note, let's be honest. Have you ever watched Elysium? Right? You see the suit that's being worn? That's exactly what you see in a game like Exoborn. So I just want to say, why didn't you go help Exoborn? Because they have brought your vision to life far more than whatever this trash is. But the future of this game is plagued by your NFT concept. And the weapon that is dominating the entire community currently right now is the M4. The video footage that we reviewed in these videos is the M4. And guess what, folks? It is the Enforcer version. And you, if you just wanted to get into this game, you just wanted to try, you want to get a little taste test of the game, cannot buy it. Well, technically, you could, but it would probably take you, I don't know, a few thousand games to be able to go ahead and afford that amount. I'm going to open up my Off the Grid real quick so we could take just a super sneak peek at what is the true cost. Like, how much does it actually cost to get the meta gun that I can pretty much laser everybody in the game with? Let's fire it up and find out. We'll get a little bit more information so I can get you some accurate details. And I know this is kind of becoming a long video, folks, but I want to make sure that this, you know, if we're going to do the finale, we're going to do it right. Okay. So here we are loading into Off the Grid, you know, just like you would if you were a brand new player to the game. You're stepping in for your very first time ever. You're excited. You want to get an opportunity to get all this new OP gear. You know, it's not like Call of Duty. You can't just like hop in the shop and drop a $20 bill and, you know, have a pre-built weapon for you, you know? The only caveat to this game is that you don't have to technically unlock your attachments through gameplay. You can just build up the currency and go buy it outright. But if we were to go to the marketplace and just check out weapons, and let's see, we got the M4 Enforcer, it is going to cost you $3,900. Now, if we do a little math, okay, you probably get somewhere around, let's say you get 14, okay, because you actually killed some people and you probably even got a dub, okay? You got 14 total. So if I take 3,900 and divide that by 14, congratulations, it's going to take you 278 games for you to be able to afford the Meta M4. At what point do we start to draw the line and ask ourselves, is this game pay to win? Let's go back to the last meta before the M4 decided to completely take over and reign dominance on everybody. You know, the Terracon, the Maniac, that's going to cost you double the price, costing a whopping 7,399. Let's take 7,399 divided by 14. That's going to be 528 games. Now, you could decide to pay your $12.79 plus taxes every single month so you could get access to the pro version of the game. But I got news for you. That's only going to boost your gains by a small margin by doing the monthly and weekly quest missions. They don't really net you a lot. Maybe a couple hundred at most when it's all said and done. But the sick and twisted part is these weapons that are trapped in the marketplace from a legacy perspective are going to continue to go up and up in price. And the only reason you have seen any type of price drop with something like the Enforcer variant of the M4 is they have released that new Omni Hex, which allows you to kind of spin the lottery wheel and has actually, ironically, been spitting them out on quite an often basis. I'd say about a week ago, the M4 was almost 9,000. So this is something that people have to really start putting into perspective. Can I introduce my friends to a game like this, and are they going to have a good time? Probably not. I wouldn't want to tell my friend, if you want to be able to compete with the best of them, you need to play 528 rounds. Oh, and you might have to go up against a guy like you just saw in that video a couple moments ago. These are all things we got to start thinking about. And back to my rant about experience. Like I told y'all, the only person with experience is Neil Blomkamp. The developers have no experience when it comes to balancing a game. They have no experience when it comes to actually pushing out content. Wait, content? Hold on. Oh my god. Is that a new battle pass? 1 day remaining?
2,000 years later.
I guess not. Man. Oh well. Well, I don't know what to tell you, folks. You know, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, it's shame on you. And folks, we're at like number 5 or 6 at this point. You know, it's just how many months do we have to go through this? Can anyone honestly tell me, based on the line of communication going from their mods in Discord or on Reddit to their actual release dates, that's been accurate once? Ever? It doesn't happen. Not only do you fail at making a game that's competitive or having any form of integrity, you fail at being committed to your overall player base. You know, like censoring well-known streamers who are actually giving your game some type of excitement or coverage, or censoring players in the community areas who are trying to give you feedback and criticism. Oh, but we got to keep the press positive. Or having weird connections and ties to different teams in the community that make it feel like the tide or the scales are drastically tipped. There's at least 25 teams in the community, but you only seem to like really want to fanboy and work with one of them. But you constantly fail release after release after release. You know what you should just do at this point? Just remove anything that says days remaining. Just take it out. Remove it. Surprise us. I think at this point, we would appreciate it. Folks, there's no future for off the grid. There really isn't. The best thing that these devs could ever do is completely step away from the whole NFT idea. All right? Everyone needs to cash out what they have and put the game on Steam. All right? Other than probably Fortnite and maybe Marvel Rivals, and that's a big maybe, how many people are actually excited to fire up a launcher like Epic Games so you can go spend hours doing something that you heavily enjoy? The answer is like 10%. 90% of gamers are launching their favorite titles through Steam. And the reason why this game can't make it to that platform is solely because of their proprietary Web3/NFT concept. Which, again, you guys can put all your eggs in one basket. You can keep selling me the dream. It's going nowhere. The other thing I want to talk to you about is the fact that the mods are always trying to defend the game that they love. And I respect that. I got nothing but love for y'all. Except when you're censoring and banning folks. If they're like out there threatening folks and telling people to go jump off a cliff, totally different story. But that's not what's going on most of the time. It's, man, how do I word this? I don't want to overcomplicate my thought here. It's the fact that you're put in a position that you have to set an expectation or give a promise that you're forced to not be able to keep because of the development team and their lack of communication of keeping you in the loop of what's going on. I don't think it's fair to what you have done to give back to the community. Man. I want people to think about NFTs kind of like your favorite trading card game, right? You know what made a Charizard so special and rare, or a birthday Pikachu? It's its limited printed availability, right? It's the addition and condition of the card. And if you continue to re-release these items, even if it's through something like these Omni hexes, you are diminishing the overall value of the product that has interested people into said currency or currency value. It's not right. But at the same time, you continue to overtune the weapons that you were pushing out through your packages. So people feel like they have no choice but to pay a monthly subscription because at some point you are going to release another weapon that is overtuned and overpowered. The best guns in the game right now are all exclusive monthly NFTs. If you have come late to the show, I'm sorry, y'all. There are guns that you're going to be able to play with and you will compete, but you will not be able to fully optimize yourself. It's just not going to happen. So, is this game truly going to be worth your investment? Worth your time? Time is money, my friend, as they say in the World of Warcraft. Speaking of World of Warcraft, I was struggling to get it out earlier. But the biggest problem with the mods as well is they're always talking. There's this famous line. I think Kubadoki says it all the time. He goes, "We've released more updates this year than any other game." And do you mean in the battle royale genre? Because I can name off a list of games that quite literally update every single week. We were talking about World of Warcraft 2 seconds ago. Huh. Every Tuesday, I can't play the game from 7 in the morning till 1 p.m. because they're actually fixing and updating shit. And that's a studio that has been burning into a flaming dumpster pile. But at least they can stay true to their word and actually put some maintenance into the game. You know, I've given this game a lot of time and energy. I'm disappointed in myself because I'm going to continue to give this game a lot of time and energy. And it's not because it's a great game. Like I said earlier in the video, this game is in the worst state it's ever been. This is the worst iteration of the game it's ever been. I cannot recommend people to play this game. I can't. You might ask, why are you playing it, Hollow? And the answer is, I have met some amazing people within Dogs. There's some folks within Merc. There's some folks within Cola. And so I probably left some people out, Rogu. There's a lot of really great people in this community. It's like a small, tight-knit family. It reminds me of the earlier days of gaming when you got to join these really small, tight niche communities. And it's a beautiful thing to just, it's like going to a basketball event at the YMCA. There's probably gonna be 50 people, and you're all gonna be going head to head against each other. And even though there's some shit talk or smack talk and disses going on all over the place, it's nothing but love. And that's what Off the Grid offers me. I told you, there's more people chilling in general chat, talking all day than they are actually playing the game. The same can be said for respective teams in their Discords. Most of the time, they just hang out with each other. They're busy playing League of Legends or fucking Rocket League. You have to pull the energy out of you to want to be able to play this game. To my folks who were heavily invested in this game from an NFT perspective, I want you to think about your time and what you're going to have to put into the game if you are not an original Pioneer or original Zero player. It's going to be a long, long journey for you to enjoy the pay-to-win fruits of labor that this game has to offer you. And almost everything that you have allocated throughout the game, seemingly, because they gotta please the complainers, is just gonna get re-released or something and just squander your value away. Why would you want to invest into something like that? There's a reason that AVAX, the parent company to Guns, is down like 74% for the entire year. If any of you guys are into crypto, go do your homework on that. They like both branches of this are not doing well. And I don't predict it. It's going to be like, if any of you are into the crypto space and maybe you put your money into something like XRP, totally irrelevant coin, but you will understand what I'm trying to get at. The future is unpredictable. You're going to have to put all your eggs in one basket and trust into these false promises that the finished product is going to make it to the moon. And to my regular gamers out there who are passionate about enjoying a brand new battle royale that's going to give you a wonderful time, you're stepping into the fire pit. There's nothing but sweats, there's nothing but demons, and there's nothing but hackers. And when I mean hackers, I mean Chronos Zenners on their PlayStation 5s and Xboxes. This isn't like Call of Duty where you got to worry about some dudes staring at you through the wall or doing like 360 no scopes while backflipping in the air and killing 40 people simultaneously. It is just the competitive integrity of this game is shot. Part of it is aim assist, and part of it is stuff like this. Now, I did have to crop out the bottom portion of that video because I'm not here to endorse these companies who are ruining the game that we love so much. But it's important for people to come to grips. If you have been playing Battle Royale games for the last 5 to 6 years, you know very well the Chronos Zen is regularly sold out on Amazon, a warehousing corporate company. That means millions of these units have been sold. Not to mention the fact that from just the regular Chronos Zen website, they have sold at least 2 million units on their own. And that is a prediction I was able to pull off of AI data because the company intentionally has not been releasing information about it. But this is also something, depending on where you live, you could literally go pick up in a Walmart or a GameStop if you still have one existing around you. There are millions of undetectable controller mods, and all you have to do is pay $60 a month for something like this. It's not even $60 a month. I take that back. You pay one flat rate $60 fee, and you will get access to something like I just showed you here in the last video clip. And I could tell you from experience, they're everywhere in the game right now. And there's no way for easy anti-cheat to pick that up. Let me show you another example of what's available to console. Because I think a lot of times when we get into the topic about cheating, you know what console players like to do. They immediately run to the most extreme examples because they played Call of Duty and they saw that rage hacker doing a 360 flips and slaying the whole lobby. So they go, well, we don't have access to those kinds of cheats on our console. Are you sure? I think you get the point. Now, you could see from these two particular clips, one is solely a script provider, and the job of a Chrono Zen script in most cases is to detect the vertical recoil pattern that you are experiencing in the game, and then it allows you to reverse tune that recoil pattern. And ultimately, after enough tuning, as you saw in the first example, you can craft perfect aim on literally any gun of your choosing. But it's not like you have to really do a whole lot of tuning when they give you something like the Enforcer M4 that has dead straight arrow-like accuracy in the first place. Now, the second video I showed you was actually a PlayStation 5/Xbox wall hack that also goes completely undetected and can be uploaded, depending on the controller that you're using, into the hardware. And according to the console crowd, they don't have access to these kinds of cheats. And guess what? Both of these videos are the top 2 selling products based on some of the research that I've been able to do in a few of the sneaky backdoor discords. I know I had to go a little undercover to grab some of this video footage and verify its validity and that it was real. But the reality is, folks, is that this game is completely botched. And I am sure from a PC perspective, there are plenty of actual cheats still out there in existence, but those guys are actually getting cleaned up pretty quick. And if you've seen any of my other videos or heard me talk in Discord or even on stream, I've given the mod team, or at least the review team over at Off the Grid, huge props, because anybody who's trying to run around the lobby 360ing everybody, shooting you through the wall, pretty much gets permabanned, and we really don't have an ongoing problem of that happening over and over and over. I think I've busted maybe 5 or 6 people within the 9 months that this game has been running. And I'm sure other folks have their own examples that they've caught too, but that doesn't ever excuse the fact that it's existing or that those other types of cheats are plaguing the game. Most in particular, the Cronus players. There are so many of you, and anyone with some sort of background or experience in the game can see and tell immediately. If I pull up players who do not have a lot of experience in the game and you are already hovering at that magical 50 percentile, 45 maybe, you're still trying to figure it out, 45 and up, you're immediately on the sus list unless you are a veteran player who's been smashing at the game and getting just the ability to enjoy the fruits of aim assist, which again is aiming at 60% for you. 100 aimbot, 60% developer provided aimbot. Before we wrap this video up, I talked about the fact that movement isn't the same, and that they've been catering to the casuals by nerfing the movement. And I'm sure a lot of you are like, I want to see proof of that. Well, one of our boys from Flaw was so courteous to hook us up with some footage. Now I'm going to show you this last little tidbit of what the game used to be and what it's become because of all you folks out there who got frustrated and complained you weren't able to keep up with the folks who've putting time and dedication to honing their craft. Let's check it out.
Let's check this area out.
Now, I saved that one for last because honestly, it's not that big of a deal. But if you were there, right? If you were there to experience the magic when it was around, the rapid strafing, sliding into the rope, spin-a-rooney, freaking hop off a wall, into fly, dolphin dive to get up on a roof, someone's on your ass, the ability to literally get all the way to the other side of the planet if you can keep your movement, whether you're on the ground or air, up, it was magical. Instead, now there's limited flight capability, slower flight capability. Running has been completely botched. You can't really build momentum into your movement, as you can see from one clip into the next. It's horrible. And they did that because players who were new to the game were getting frustrated because they haven't done anything to fix their lobbies and grow the game properly. Because like I told you, this team has zero experience, especially in the area of marketing. And it's always going to be this way. It's always going to be this way. And if the solution is to continue to chip away, chop up, and remove things out of the game that made it special, the people who were with you since the beginning are not going to be here much longer. In fact, many of them have already left the game. They just don't want to be a part of it. I think we just hit that 1 hour mark, so it is time to go ahead and wrap this up. I'm not trying to film a full documentary, but I wanted to just talk about the frustration that I know is on hundreds of players. Hundreds of players who've put in hundreds, if not thousands, of hours into this game, and we're losing hope. If you skip to the very end of this video, I'm going to chop this section in particular, but I want to simply say the too long didn't read. The movement is fucked. The market is fucked for crypto investors. The commitment and communication from the development team is fucked up. The overall fluidity and just consistency of the game is fucked up. The competitive integrity, if you are into a fair fight, is fucked up. This game is basically a fancier version of Call of Duty Mobile. Pretty much it. And when a new game comes out that is able to capture people's time and attention, Off the Grid will die off a cliff. If you're a content creator for this game, there's no future. There's none. You're always going to have, maybe if you're view botting, like the Russian guys, 100, 200 viewers on a good day with 5 guys in your chat. Or if you're an actual passionate player like who we saw earlier, you might have 25 to 50, maybe on a good day, 100 players with 25 guys in your chat. And I think when you put that kind of time and effort and have given back to the community like you have, you deserve more, and you deserve a game that's going to help take you to the moon. And this game isn't going to take you to the moon. I think I've said all that I needed to say. I think I've shown all that I've needed to show. So let's just go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you to everybody who stopped by. I will be releasing more meta videos and content here in the future. But the fun or fraud series, at least for now, this is it. This is the finale. And I think, is it fun or is it fraud? You all know the answer to that. Till next time, folks. Peace, love, and happiness. Y'all be easy.